This is One on One.
WFMU is radio for the people who were picked last on the basketball team, for that one person who didn't go to the senior prom, for the misfits and malcontents, the slackers, hobos and dreamers, the musicians, artists, weirdos, onanistic shut-ins, mutants, and all other people who are clearly not working up to their potential. Join us, won't you? It doesn't hurt.
Good stuff. That's Ken Freedman, General Manager and Program Director of WFMU, the longest running independent free-form radio station in the country. How you doing?
Good.
That is from a documentary called Sex and Broadcasting. What's up with the name of that, by the way?
It's named after the Bible of Community Radio, which was first published in 1970, a book called Sex and Broadcasting, which has nothing to do with sex, but the author's mother recommended that he put the word sex in the title to help sell copies.
Smart.
Yeah.
Tell us about your station.
Well, WFMU is a freeform station that's been on the air for 56 years. It's kind of become a New Jersey and international institution. We'll play anything from Balinese rock and roll to hand-cranked Edison cylinders, to improvised comedy, to sound collages, to just about anything that makes a sound.
So, in the world of formats, branding, niche, whatever, you guys don't fall into any of that.
No, we fall in between the cracks. We are the cracks.
And you survive how? Economically? Because last time I checked, we have to keep these lights on, and so do you. So how do you do it?
Pretty much the same way. We do one pledge drive a year. We're fortunate that we only have to do it once per year as opposed to 3 or 4 times a year.
It's got to be more than that. I mean, that's the way you bring your money in?
Yeah, just once a year.
Big grants, sponsorship? No?
We do get some grants. We turn down any kind of income that has strings attached to it. But
strings meaning?
Anybody who's going to try to push our programming or a philosophy in one way or another. If it's really no strings attached money, we'll take it.
But the other way you do what you do, and we were just talking about this before we got on the air, is most of your DJs, all of them, in fact, except as you just told me, your morning drive time person, do it on a volunteer basis.
Yeah.
Because?
We couldn't possibly afford to pay people. It's a pretty shoestring operation, considering everything that we're doing. If I had to pay people, we'd go out of business.
But by the way, tell folks where they can find it.
We're on the internet at WFMU.org, and in the New Jersey, New York metropolitan area, we're at 91.1 FM.
Okay, so those who are DJs, you're not in any way, you don't have a shortage of people who want to be on the air.
No, there's a long waiting list.
So there's a long waiting list of people who want to be on your station, on the air as DJs. They're not getting paid because
of the freedom that they get. Because WFMU is there's not only a great deal of freedom, but we actually encourage people to take chances and to try things that nobody else would try, and to experiment with the format of radio.
Ken, so whose idea was this in the first place?
Well, freeform radio is an idea that's been around, since the late 40s.
No, this station, though.
The radio station?
Yeah. Like, who sat there and said, yeah, there's freeform radio, but we're going to do this, and this is where we're going to do it? And where did it start, by the way, physically?
It started on the campus of Uppsala College.
In East Orange.
In East
Orange,
New
exist
Jersey.
anymore.
Nope, it went out of business in 1995.
Business, right.
Yeah.
They couldn't pay the bills.
It
Go
went
ahead.
bankrupt. And Vince Scelsa, who later became
the great WNEW.
Big air personality on WNEW and K-Rock, he was the one who started the freeform ball rolling at WFMU in 1968.
Okay, and so the music that is played, does it matter what listeners want to hear?
Yes and no. I think it depends.
Tell me about the no part. I'm fascinated by that.
There are a lot of DJs who feel very strongly that they want to have the freedom to do what they want to do without any concern about how much people like it or how much they're annoying people and so on.
But don't we need
forth.
people to listen?
Yes, we do need people to listen. WFMU is not about doing radio for just one person. It's about doing radio for dozens of people, Steve.
Dozens.
Dozens.
Not thousands, tens of thousands. So let me ask you this, the PBS world we live in. we're not exactly as free-form as you are. But clearly we would not be on the air if we were not bringing in dollars to do what we do. How do you see us?
I see PBS and NPR as fulfilling a valuable service. I see it as mainstream public broadcasting.
Mainstream.
Yeah.
And you see yourselves as outside the mainstream.
Yes.
But still running an operation that has to pay bills. But in a clear, we do pay people. And I can't imagine how, again, you said you could not do what you do without, I mean, if you weren't paying people.
We pay 7 full-timers, and we have about 200, 250 volunteers.
Wow. All part of your team. Let me ask you, you got into this business. Was it because you loved radio or the free form of radio?
It was both. I started off as a huge radio fan, but listening mostly to commercial radio as a kid. And then as I grew up, I got more and more interested in creative and free-form radio.
Satellite do anything for you?
Not really, no.
Not really?
No.
With all the stations, all the options and choices, satellite's not doing much for you?
No, because satellite radio tends to be very tightly formatted, and I don't find a lot of opportunities for discovering things that I'm not already familiar with on satellite radio.
So the way your operation's set up right now, the economics of it, not paying the vast majority of people tied to it, shoestring budget, people committed to it the way they are, what do you see your future as?
Well, the future is on the internet. We already have about 4 times as many listeners listening to us on the internet as those who listen over FM. And of the internet listeners that we have, most of them listen after the program ends. They listen to on demand. So I see that as
the internet.
Yeah.
Before I let you out here, why is there video of you tied to balloons?
That was a fundraising stunt gone bad.
What? Looking at it right now, you got to talk to us.
We desperately needed, I think, $150,000, and we decided to try to come up with a stunt.
Go ahead.
And I read on the internet about a Brazilian priest who raised money for his church by adding more balloons for every dollar that was raised. And unfortunately, in his case, he disappeared over the Atlantic Ocean.
And in your case?
I got a few feet off the ground in Jersey City.
Final question. You've been leading this radio station for how many years?
Oh, for over 30 years.
And you've learned a lot about radio and leadership. This initiative we're doing is called Lessons in Leadership, and we ask those who are in leadership positions the most important leadership lesson that they have in fact learned. Yours is?
Well, I think early on I learned that leading by example was probably the best method. At WFMU, it's a little difficult to lead because we're always encouraging people to break the rules and push the envelope. So I always tell people what the rules are, and then I encourage people to break the rules. But I think it's important to let them know which rules cannot be broken.
You've got to differentiate.
Yes.
Before I let you out here, the documentary, Sex and Broadcasting, where can people find out more about it?
They can go to WFMUthemovie.com, and right now it's still playing festivals. It's coming up in San Francisco and then in the UK, and then it's going to be touring around the rest of the US.
Ken Freedman, General Manager and Program Director, WFMU, the longest-running independent, free-form radio station in the country since 1968. I want to thank you for joining us. We appreciate it, Ken.
Thanks, Steve.
Stay right there. One-on-one will continue right after this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Virtua, Bloomfield College, PSE&G, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Cohn Resnick, Fedway Associates, and by the law firm of Gibbons, P.C. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.